The air hangs thick with anticipation, the drone of 1,000 whispers, the rustle of gowns like dry leaves. I sit here, a knot tightening in my gut, watching my sister Sarah float across the stage. Her smile is blinding, the camera flashes popping like distant fireworks. This should feel like a celebration, a moment of shared joy. Instead, it feels like a cage. My hands are clammy. The artificial leather of the folding chair sticks to my skin. I look out at the crowd, a sea of proud faces, and feel utterly adrift. This is her day. Everyone knows it, especially him. I see him in the second row, leaning forward, eyes fixed on Sarah. His face, usually a mask of practiced indifference, is alight with a warmth I've rarely seen directed at me. Not like this. Not this pure, uncomplicated pride. My own graduation feels like a lifetime ago, a quiet affair swallowed by the ordinary hum of life.
No fanfare.
No beaming father. Just a polite nod, a muttered congratulations before his attention shifted back to whatever important thing I had interrupted. The dean steps up to the podium, his voice booming, cutting through the murmur. Sarah accepts her diploma, a graceful sweep of motion. The applause is deafening, a wave crashing over the auditorium. I clap too, mechanically, my smile thin and brittle. I love my sister. This isn't about her. It never was. This is about the space I occupy, the air I breathe, the expectations I failed to meet just by being myself. Where are you listening from right now, and what time is it? Drop it in the comments below. And if you connect with stories like this, please subscribe. It genuinely helps me bring more of these moments to life. It started subtly, like a slow leak. Sarah was the golden child, the one who fit the mold. Pretty, popular, effortlessly good, at everything the world seemed to value. And me? I was the jagged edge. The one who preferred books to parties, code to calculus, silence to small talk. I didn't shine. I just existed. In his eyes, existence wasn't enough. Dinners were battlegrounds masked as family meals. Sarah's achievements were milestones, announced with pomp and circumstance. My quiet successes were footnotes, if mentioned at all. A perfect test score? Good. Now about Sarah's lead in the school play, a coding competition win? That's nice. Is it useful? Useful. Everything had to be useful. Everything had to serve a purpose he understood, a purpose that reflected well on him. My purpose, apparently, was to fade into the background, a pale comparison to the vibrant portrait he painted of Sarah. I tried, God, how I tried. In those early years, I bent myself into shapes that didn't fit. I joined clubs I hated, wore clothes that felt alien, forced smiles until my face ached. I craved that warmth, that simple nod of approval, the kind he gave Sarah as easily as breathing. But it never came. Or when it did, it felt like a consolation prize, a participation trophy handed out of obligation. The space between us grew, not with shouting matches, but with silence. A heavy, suffocating silence filled with unspoken judgments and disappointed sighs. I stopped sharing. Why bother? The words would just land flat, unheard, or worse, twisted into something less than they were. I remember sitting on my bedroom floor, maybe 14, surrounded by lines of code that finally worked. A small program, useless to the outside world, but beautiful to me. I ran downstairs, heart pounding, wanting to show him, to say, "Look, I made this." He was watching TV, Sarah on the couch beside him, laughing at something. I stood there, the laptop screen glowing in my hands. He glanced over, his eyes flicking from me to the screen and back. He sighed, a short, sharp sound that punctured my balloon of excitement. Busy. Go on now, that was it. The program died on the screen, and something inside me died with it. That night, I didn't cry. I felt a coldness settle in my bones. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was something harder, something that felt like stone. I realized then that I couldn't earn his pride, not by being me, and I couldn't be Sarah. The only path left was away. Not physically, not yet. but emotionally. I began to build walls thick and high. I poured my energy into things that existed outside his sphere of understanding, things that didn't require his validation. Coding became my sanctuary, a place where logic reigned and success was measured in function, not in fleeting affection. I built worlds where I was the architect, the master. The years passed. College was a blur of textbooks and code, late nights fueled by cheap coffee. I chose a university far away, a prestigious engineering program that he grudgingly acknowledged, but never seemed impressed by. Sarah went to a different school, closer to home, a well-regarded but less demanding program. Her college years were filled with sorority events, parties, photos splashed across social media, things he understood, things he could brag about to his friends. My life was lived in the hum of servers, the glow of monitors. Unseen. Unknown. He'd call, occasionally. The conversation would invariably circle back to Sarah. Her grades. Her internships. Her bright, promising future. My updates were met with polite, distant questions. How's school? Still doing that computer thing? He didn't know the name of my major. He didn't know about the research projects, the competitive programming teams, the scholarships I'd quietly won. He didn't ask. And I stopped offering. The stone in my chest grew heavier, but also strangely stronger. I started working on something big during my junior year. It wasn't for a class. It wasn't for a job application. It was just for me. A complex software platform I believed could actually change things. It was audacious, probably foolish, consuming every spare moment. It was my defiance made manifest, a silent scream against years of feeling invisible. I built it in secret, not telling anyone, not even Sarah, who remained oblivious to the chasm that had opened between our family and me. She lived in the light, adored. I was thriving in the shadows, forging my own heat. The secret project grew. It took shape. It started to work. Then, astonishingly, it started to gain traction. Small companies, then larger ones, showed interest. The idea I had built from scratch, fueled by silent frustration and countless hours, was valuable. Genuinely, unequivocally valuable. I graduated quietly. Got a job. Worked even harder on the project in my spare time. It reached a point where I had to make a choice. Keep it a hobby or push it into the world. The cold stone told me what to do. Push. Harder. Make them see. Not him, but the world. The world outside the suffocating walls of his judgment. Things moved fast after that. Investors. A small team. Late nights bled into early mornings. The project became a startup. My startup. Built in anonymity, fueled by the quiet fire of being overlooked. I kept my head down, focused on the work. Didn't seek publicity. Didn't crave headlines. The only validation I needed now came from the code compiling, the platform functioning, the users benefiting. It was a different kind of pride, internal and fierce. The money followed the success. Not just a little. A lot. More than I had ever imagined. It sat in accounts, quiet and abstract. It felt like numbers on a screen, detached from the emotional cost of earning it. I lived simply, the years of being told I wasn't useful, etched into my spending habits. But I knew what it represented. Freedom. Independence. A shield. Then came Sarah's graduation. The invitation arrived, bright and cheerful. My heart clenched. Go. Or stay away. Every instinct screamed, stay away. Avoid the inevitable comparisons, the subtle digs, the suffocating atmosphere of his undivided attention on her. But something else, something forged in the fire of the secret project, whispered, go. Go. Not for him, not for her, but for myself. Go and occupy the space, even if it felt unwelcome. Go and witness from the quiet distance I had built. So I came. I put on the uncomfortable dress, drove the long miles. I walked into this auditorium filled with the ghosts of my past, the echoes of 1,000 unspoken disappointments. And now I sit here, the ceremony winding down. The dean is back at the podium, transitioning from individual recognition to university achievements, gifts, endowments. The usual platitudes. My mind drifts. I think about the quiet hum of my servers back home, the lines of code that changed everything. It feels surreal, sitting here, a specter in the crowd, holding this immense, silent secret. The dean clears his throat. Before we conclude, he says, his voice amplifying slightly, I have a few announcements regarding recent contributions that will significantly impact our university's future, particularly in the field of engineering and computer science. My ears prick up just slightly. That's my field. A flicker of professional interest. He continues, listing names, large corporations, philanthropic foundations. The applause is polite, measured. Then he pauses. He holds a piece of paper, adjusting his glasses. We also wish to express our profound gratitude, he says, his voice gaining genuine warmth, to a remarkably generous individual who has chosen to support a groundbreaking initiative within our engineering department. Their substantial, unsolicited donation, the largest single private gift in the university's history, will fund cutting-edge research and create scholarships for generations of students. My breath catches. Largest single private gift. In history. Who? I look around, wondering if some local billionaire is in the audience. The dean beams. This transformative gift, he says, his voice ringing with admiration, comes from an alumna who graduated quietly a few years ago, whose recent work in software development has, frankly, reshaped an entire industry. My blood turns to ice. He reads the name printed on the paper. My name. The silence that follows is not polite. It is stunned. A physical void opens up in the noise. 1,000 heads swivel, searching the rows. Searching for me. My father gasps. It's a harsh, guttural sound, like air being punched from his lungs. I don't look at him. Not yet. The dean continues, oblivious to the seismic shift he's just triggered in Section C, Row 2. Their innovation, built with quiet determination and visionary insight, has not only achieved extraordinary commercial success, but is now, through this gift, enabling the next generation of innovators. We are incredibly proud to call them one of our own. He gestures vaguely toward the audience. We invited them tonight, hoping they might be present, to publicly acknowledge their incredible generosity and remarkable achievement. Every eye in the section is on me. I feel their gaze like a physical weight. My sister is staring, her mouth slightly open. My mother looks pale, her eyes darting between me and my father. And him. I finally turn my head just slightly and look at him. His face is a mask, but this time it's not indifference. It's shock. Pure, unadulterated shock, quickly followed by something I've never seen there before. Disbelief warring with dawning, unwelcome comprehension. His eyes are wide, fixed on me, searching for a sign, an explanation. He opens his mouth, but no sound comes out. The noise of the crowd starts to creep back in, a confused murmur that quickly swells into thunderous applause. An applause not just for the donation, but for the reveal. For the silent figure suddenly pulled into the spotlight. I stand up. Slowly. My legs feel wobbly, but the stone in my chest is solid, immutable. I don't walk towards the stage. I don't make a speech. I simply stand, acknowledging the dean with a small nod, a quiet acknowledgement of the unexpected public praise. The moment stretches, thick with unspoken history. I see the wheels turning in my father's mind. The numbers. The industry. The quiet, unassuming daughter he had dismissed as not useful had built something massive, something the world valued enough to generate wealth he likely couldn't comprehend. Something that allowed me to make a donation larger than anything he had ever considered, to the very institution that had fostered the computer thing he had so easily dismissed. He leans towards me, his shock giving way to a bewildered attempt at conversation over the din. You did that, he mouths, his voice lost in the applause. I just look at him. My face is calm. There is no triumph in my expression, no, I told you so. Just quiet presence. The presence of the person who is always there, just unseen. the person who built their own value when told they had none. He shrinks back, his face falling. The pride that had shone so brightly for Sarah just moments ago is gone, replaced by confusion, perhaps even regret. The words he spoke earlier, the ones that twisted the knife just one last time, echo in the sudden, acute silence between us despite the surrounding noise. Only one of my kids made me proud. He said it casually, during a brief, awkward conversation before the ceremony started. Sarah was adjusting her cap, beaming. He put an arm around her. I stood a few feet away, feeling the familiar sting. He looked from her to me, a dismissive glance, a little head shake. Only one of my kids really made me proud, he'd repeated, ostensibly talking about their academic paths, but the meaning was clear.
Sarah, not me.
That was the deepening crisis, the moment where I thought, okay, nothing has changed. He will never see me. And now this. The plot twist wasn't just the donation. It was the context. His public dismissal immediately followed by this public, undeniable validation of the person he dismissed. The universe, or maybe just good timing and a meticulous dean, had served up the perfect counterpoint. He opens his mouth again, perhaps to say something else, something to bridge the chasm he suddenly sees, something to reclaim a connection he severed years ago. But I don't give him the chance. I sit back down. The applause slowly subsides, replaced by confused murmurs and curious glances. The dean moves on to the next point. The ceremony continues, but the air has fundamentally changed. My sister reaches over and squeezes my hand. She looks genuinely surprised, but also proud, maybe? It's hard to tell in the emotional chaos of the moment. I squeeze back, a silent acknowledgement. This wasn't about her. It wasn't even really about him anymore. It was about the girl who built her own light in the dark. The rest of the ceremony is a blur. I feel distant, detached. The stone in my chest hasn't dissolved, but it feels less like a burden and more like a foundation. I look at my hands. These are the hands that typed the code, built the platform, signed the papers. These are the hands that forged my own path, not out of spite, but out of a desperate need to exist fully, genuinely. We leave the auditorium. The air outside is cooler. My family is quiet. My father looks lost. He tries to make small talk, but his usual bluster is gone. He asks about the donation, his voice low, almost hesitant. I answer factually, explaining the purpose, the focus on engineering scholarships. I don't explain the motivation. He wouldn't understand. He still sees it through his lens, the lens of monetary value and public recognition, not the lens of quiet defiance and self-worth built piece by painstaking piece. He tries to connect it to his earlier comment. I didn't realize. You were doing something so significant, he fumbles. I meant. With the university paths, his words trail off. The excuse is weak, even to him. The only one comment wasn't about academic paths. It was about fundamental worth. And we both know it. My sister tries to fill the silence, chattering about the reception. My mother looks relieved the moment is over, but also watchful, unsure how to navigate this new landscape. We pose for pictures. The smiles feel forced. I stand slightly apart, comfortable in the space I've created. My father stands next to Sarah, still, but the light is gone from his face. It's a different kind of picture than the one I'd braced myself for. This isn't the portrait of the golden child and the proud father, with the invisible daughter fading into the background. This is something more complicated, more real. The aftermath isn't a Hollywood ending. The years of neglect don't magically disappear with one public moment. The wounds don't heal instantly. But something fundamental has shifted. The power dynamic is irrevocably altered. He can no longer dismiss me. He can no longer pretend I don't exist or that my achievements are insignificant because they don't fit his narrow definition of success. The pride I feel isn't about the money or the recognition. It's about the quiet victory of building something real and valuable in the face of indifference. It's about trusting my own instincts, pursuing my own path, and finding my own measure of worth. The donation was just a side effect, a powerful symbol, But the real achievement was the resilience, the determination, the refusal to let his judgment define me. He may never truly understand. He may never offer the kind of unconditional pride I craved as a child. But it doesn't sting like it used to, because I don't need it anymore. The stone in my chest is now a cornerstone. I walk away from the graduation, not into emptiness, but into the future I built for myself, brick by silent brick. The air outside is clean, sharp. The world feels vast and full of possibility, free from the suffocating confines of needing someone else's approval. If you've ever felt like you had to build your own path in silence, like your worth wasn't seen, I'd love to hear if this resonated with you. Drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from and what time it is. Thanks for being here. Subscribing helps bring more of these stories to life.